Jiu Jitsu has changed over the years, and I've observed several of these changes happen in my journey. I started training in the early 2000s and have made these observations and would like to share those with you. They might be a little informative, might even change the way you train just a tad even now. But I started training in 2001 or 2002, somewhere around there, and things are very different now, many of them for the better. Let's break into it and see what you think. If any of the OGs are watching, love to hear your thoughts on the evolution of Jiu Jitsu in the comments as well. Number one, the focus is very different. When I started training, there were almost no students in the academy who weren't there as a part of their MMA training. People wanted to fight. That's why they were there to learn Jiu Jitsu. Outside of a few of the older guys who were just doing it for the love of the game, pretty much everyone was trying to add some skills so that they could fight MMA. That was what brought me to Jiu Jitsu. I was already competing in Muay Thai. I already had wrestling in my background, but I needed some submissions, and that's what brought me to the mats of a Brazilian Jiu Jitsu academy to begin with. So the academies were a little bit more wilder places because folks there were there to learn how to mix it up in the cage usually, at least where I was from in Southern California. So that is probably my number one observation to start things off, is just people come to academies for many different reasons, but it's not quite often to be able to fight MMA. That's why we have many more older people training these days, which is great. I don't think everybody needs to have a focus on MMA to join a Jiu-Jitsu academy at all. Number two, presence of the ladies. There were not a whole lot of ladies training Jiu-Jitsu back in the day, at least in my experience. They were very few and far between. They were likely to be one or two folks in each academy, if at all, and they were just owing to the number one reason I gave, the number one difference I gave, owing to that, academies were just not welcoming places to ladies to come learn Jiu-Jitsu. So they were very foreboding. There was a lot of testosterone, there was a lot of bluster, and there was a lot of wild dudes in there. And if I was a lady, I would probably steer clear as well. Probably get as far away from a place like that as I possibly could. But things have changed, and ladies train Jiu-Jitsu quite a bit now, and that's awesome. It's great that we can have academies that are more welcoming to the fairer sex so that they can come in and get this wonderful benefit from the sport, as well as some skills that might help them in a situation that is unfortunate. So love the fact that we have more ladies training, that they feel confident, that they feel welcome in academies these days. That is an absolute excellent thing. The third big difference that I've seen in Jiu-Jitsu is the access to black belt instruction. Even in the early 2000s, we didn't have access to a ton of black belts outside of major city centers. I grew up in the Inland Empire of Southern California, and outside of LA, the LA area, black belts were much harder to come by. It was not uncommon to see purple belts, brown belts, even blue belts in some situation, teaching Jiu-Jitsu in their schools. Many of these schools would be karate schools or kickboxing schools where the owner or head instructor learned some Jiu-Jitsu, achieved some level of rank, and then started offering classes. My first Jiu-Jitsu academy was this exact way. It was a Hoist Gracie affiliate school, and the instructor at the time when I signed up, I believe he was a purple belt under Hoist, and shortly thereafter achieved brown belt. Outstanding instructor, by the way, but he was basically a kickboxing school. He had a style called Shorin Ryu that was kind of a hybrid of striking arts, and started to get into Jiu-Jitsu, and eventually, I believe he is a black belt now, still in Southern California. But when I started, he was a purple belt, and he was a purple belt under Hoist, and he was a very good one. And that was super normal. Man, you had to travel, you had to be lucky to have black belts at your fingertips, and now black belts are everywhere, which is great. I live in North Georgia, and my instruction comes from my professors who are black belts and who fought in the UFC. I mean, that is a pretty big deal, big change from back when I started jiu-jitsu. So that is something that is really outstanding. Number 4, competition. Competition is very different these days. When we have the ability to have a place where everybody can compete. Even if you're old like me, there's a master's division at the IBJJF near you. There's different opportunities to compete, and for all ages and all skill levels, and this is a really great thing. There was not a robust system of competition back in the day. There'd be kind of these one-off competitions here and there. The IBJJF did exist, but it was nascent at the time, and you would kind of go sign up for this tournament, or you hear about a tournament on a forum, and you would go ahead and get signed up and go compete and hope that it didn't devolve into a fight, which many of them at times did. I remember one really cool tournament was the West Side Submission Tournament, sponsored by and put on by a guy called Chris Brennan, one of the OGs back in the day, super cool guy. And he put on this great tournament, but it was just this local tournament. I think I was there in the beginner division. I don't think I was intermediate even. I can't remember now. Boy, it's been a long time. But here's the point of the story. Genki Sudo signed up and showed up and competed with just normal everyday Joes and tore through that tournament like you wouldn't believe in the advanced side of things. So the tournament infrastructure, the competition infrastructure is so much better now, and I think the sport is much better for it. The 5th big difference from the early 2000s to now is the availability of supplemental information. Back in the day, if you wanted to get an instructional, and there weren't that many of them, you had to order a DVD. Now, DVDs, kids, were these little silver discs that you put into a machine connected to your television, and it played moving pictures on there. It was pretty fantastic at the time, but nothing was instant. The internet was still in its adolescence, so we weren't getting anywhere with that. We had to order DVDs, and there were a few companies that did them. There was Panther Martial Arts. They still sold VHS, actually, and that was pretty wild. You get those in the back of Black Belt magazine. It's crazy. You would get, World Martial Arts started having DVDs. That was where I got my first instructionals from. I think my first instructional ever was Mario Sperry's instructional series for World Martial Arts, and it was fantastic. It has stuff in it that I still use today because Mario Sperry's the man. But getting that supplemental off-the-mat information and instruction was really hard to come by. Oh, books! We also had books. There were these big books, and they had these photographic layouts of techniques that you would follow along. And different high-level instructors and competitors would have these books. I had one from Jean-Jacques Machado that had stuff in there that I still use, yes, even today, because Jean-Jacques Machado is the man. But these days, you don't realize how easy it is to come across. In fact, we kind of have too much information coming at us all the time. You open up your Instagram or your TikTok or your YouTube, and there is so much technique being thrown at you. It's not organized. It's just haphazard. It's coming at you. So that's not, we've actually kind of gotten to the other side of that curve where the supplemental information is so scattered that it's just too much. So you have to be really careful about curating the information you bring in, because it can actually slow your progress. So there we have it, friends. Those are some of the big things that have changed in jiu-jitsu over the 20 plus years that I've been involved. There are many more, but these I think are some of the biggest ones, and these are also the ones that I think we're kind of better off for. These things having changed, outside of the dearth of information that we have, these things having changed have actually made the sport better. Maybe we'll do a part 2 of this, and I'll share some more and some stories from back in the day, because it was a different time and things were a little wilder and a little more untamed. But I hope you enjoyed this. Again, any OGs watching this, I'd love to hear your observations in the comments. Thanks for watching.